Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul, and we are headed out on the road for the Friends for Life podcast world tour. So let's hop in the car and get going. So Dan, you're out here working with Silfies Media.
Yeah.
How you liking it? Because we had John on the podcast. He's a cool dude, man.
Yes, awesome guy. Yes. I love it. I tell pretty much everybody now, anytime I get to go out to a shoot, it's my dream job, and I just thank him for the opportunity because it's seriously, this is something that I've been working toward for a while. I feel like I'm equipped now after so I spent, I guess, a little bit about me. My sister was born with disabilities. I grew up kind of in the field, never was a DSP, but I kind of got the DSP experience is the way I look at it, a little bit. After college, I started working with John at a provider agency called Toward Independence. Awesome place. They equipped me with all the skills that I need to do what I do now, which is I'm a videographer with Silfies Media. I'm driving around the state telling people stories, trying to capture some of the amazing stuff that happens in the DODD field.
Well, hold on, because I am a big fan of stories, and you guys tell awesome stories. There has to be one behind this awesome mustache. Like, how? And people, if you're only listening to us, I tell you all the time, you need to see some of our video. But he has the sweetest mustache on the planet. Like, I'm pretty jealous. What made you? How do you? Like, all of that. I am so intrigued by this.
So, two kind of things about the mustache. The first one, I went to actually. There was an individual that I was helping. His name is Matt. Down in Cincinnati. And we went to see, I think it was the Big Dave show. Matt is a radio fanatic. This guy knows every station, and he's actually blind, which is, I think, is where some of that connection to audio and kind of some of the, seriously, like podcasts, stuff like that. I think that's why it really appeals to him. So we went to this radio station, and there was a guy there that had the dopest mustache, and I said, "Man, I gotta try, to do that." His was even better than mine. His twirled all the way around. He had a complete circle on the other side. I was like, "Yeah," which is pretty cool. But the other thing is, the mustache sometimes actually softens people up a little bit. When I go out to shoot a video, I found like. Staff members usually get a little bit uncomfortable in front of the camera. And so I think sometimes when I go in there with kind of a goofy mustache, it softens people up a little bit and helps them be a little more, less guarded when they're shooting an interview with me.
Yeah, that's one of the things too that we notice with the podcast is everybody sits down and they're like, I don't know what to say. Like, trust me, it's not that hard. We're just talking about what you do every single day of your life, and then they lighten up. But one thing. As a non-creative guy, I don't want to say you're not creative, but you don't live in the creative world.
Yes,
like a business creative. Creative people just do weird stuff, man.
We do.
I have a mullet. Like you just have to be weird to let people know, like, I'm weird.
Jimmy said he wants to know who's your barber.
The lady who does mullets in my town. What are you talking about?
The mullet lady.
So you said your sister has a disability.
Yeah.
This is the question I asked John too. Did you ever think you'd be doing what you're doing right now as a job?
That's the thing that kind of blows my mind. So my sister actually passed away in 2016.
Sorry about that.
It was a result of those disabilities, right? Complications associated with that. And that was one of those things that I think pushed me. I mean, it's that and my faith, right? There were those two things where I felt particularly called to this field after college, right? And it was one of those things where things just kind of started falling into place. And I saw that pathway open up to, hey, maybe this is kind of what I'm built for, I've always been a storyteller. That's something I've done since I was a real little kid. And I guess I wanted to do something that was going to make an impact on people that needed it, right? I wanted to live sacrificially. That's something that I hold really close to my heart. And so if I can sacrifice for people that I really care about, I think, that really deserve to have their stories told, like, that's what I want to do. That's part of why when I have to drive, 2 hours to go and sit down for like a 10-minute interview, hey, I'm probably going to do that just because, who else is going to do it?
You never know what you're going to get out of those stories that's going to help uplift someone else or change the trajectory of where the field is. Because I think that's what a lot of what we're doing on both sides of this is trying to change that direction on something that's been stagnant for 30 plus years. Like the ADA was the biggest change for God knows how long, and it's kind of stayed that way for a while.
And I think I say this a lot, and you probably see this too, and it's not to talk bad, but a lot of these companies and organizations, for one, they probably don't have the resources to run a full media team all the time, because it's like very lucky to be able to do what I'm doing too. But like, even if you have a cell phone or something, I mean, I think getting this stuff out there is very important, because it's getting crowded out by, there's so much negative crap on the internet. And Tony and I were kind of chatting about this on the way in here. Often people with disabilities are portrayed as like these childlike adults and stuff, and I'm like, we're not doing anybody any service by like making we don't even post that stuff. We don't post the finger painting and all this stuff. Like, these are adults, they want to live their own lives. If that's what they enjoy, that's fine. Do you find that, because I notice in what the stuff you post at Silfies Media, it's very like storytelling driven. It's not just like we're gonna take cute pictures. I think that's important.
I think one thing that John and I do very well is we're extremely authentic. We try to paint the picture of whoever it is that we're meeting with absolute sincerity, right? And that's really whatever they want it to be, I think that's true. I think there is sort of a stigma that says, people with disabilities are childlike, or they have childlike interests. I don't want to say you have to be in the field to understand that that's not true. They really are just people. I don't even like talking about them as as a monolith, because they're just people. Like, they're seriously just people. I've got a friend he actually is at the provider agency I used to work at. But like, the stuff he wants to go, he likes to go to lunch with me. He likes to watch movies. Like, those are the two things. And I'm like, dude, me too. Like, I think that's why we work. I think that's why we're such good friends now, after all these years. But yeah, I think to touch back on the importance of telling these stories, it's like I said, who else is going to get out there and do what we're doing, right? We connected before the show and said, I think we're the only two media teams that are really working this right now, and that shouldn't be that way. Like, we need more people telling these stories. But if I could, I guess. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't even see the news here or anything.
Right.
This is something that we talked about, and it's kind of like an entrepreneurial idea in and of itself. Is like, well, if nobody else is gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's the mindset we have, because
Definitely.
There's other places around the country maybe that are doing similar things, but like, even that is few and far between, and we might just be patting all of ourselves on the back too much. But like, I look on the internet, man, I'm not seeing it. You search hashtags and all this stuff, and I'm not seeing it. But back to what you were gonna say. I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh no, honestly, I completely lost my train of thought, bro.
We'll do that.
I have that effect on people. I have that effect on myself. Okay, so but the passion for video, what advice would you give to people who would like to do what you're doing, or say what we're doing? Because video is a tough world to get into to begin with, and then in this field, if you have a passion for this field, but you are proving that that's a realistic thing to do.
100%. The advice that I would give, it's going to be cliche, but it's like, don't be afraid. If you are a person that has never picked up a camera before, hey, you've got a cell phone. Again, it's cliche, but these days, seriously, you can do it. When I first started making videos, it was all on an iPhone. They're good enough to get you to a point where you can make some competent and compelling content. So if you are a DSP or a supervisor or something like that, and there's just cool stuff going on at your home or wherever it is you work, like, just whip your phone out, record a story. Do it. It doesn't have to have the crispest audio. It doesn't have to have the most amazing, like we shoot in 4K. It doesn't have to be in 4K. That's just the cherry on top, I think. But the more that we get these stories out there, the more that we show people that this is a field that's important, that these are people that are worth investing in and spending time with, I think the more, the farther that we're going to go, right? And it does matter. I guess the second tip that I would give is, I guess it's the kind of theme of what I've been talking about. But if you're not going to do it, who is? You know, you're the one that's experiencing those amazing stories out there. Don't let them go to waste. People need to hear about them, and it is a cultural shift that's going to get us to a position where, you know, DSP wages are more aggressive. People are afforded more rights. They're able to go and do, you know, cooler things. Things are going to be more accessible. It requires a cultural change, and it's not just the top tier videographers who are going out there and getting it. It's also that person down there with an iPhone that is just seeing something cool happening.
Well, and even like, how many viral videos or videos you've seen on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever platform you're on are just recorded on a cell phone?
100%.
There's so many creators out there making stuff that's like, as someone like you or I would see, like, this looks like absolute crap. But they're doing better than I am.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think they need to take that away, and I think you need to lose that mindset, because who else is going to create these businesses in this field? There's just every niche in the DD field as there is in any other field that you can work on. There's obviously room for video, there's room for podcasts, there's room for all of it. It's just more people need to do it. Like, we don't want to be the only podcast. Yeah. We're talking to everybody we can, trying to be like, do this too, please. We need more people out there talking about these issues broad. Like, we don't care what it is. Talk to the individuals. Everybody's going to do it their own way. Like, we're all about it. So I think that's why we love what you guys do so much. It's just amazing. You're doing what we're doing in a different way. Yeah. We're not the same thing. It's awesome. What
I would say, likewise. I remember sitting in my office, seeing your guys' podcast for the first time, and I was like, "That's the right direction." Like, honestly, it was a huge, and honestly, I was a little bit starstruck when I got to come meet you guys today, because I was like, I've been watching them for years, but yeah, I completely agree. And I guess to touch on TikTok really fast, one of the cool things about TikTok is it has a ton of editing tools that are built into it. Yeah. So if you do want to try and do some of that stuff that you're seeing out there, it's super accessible. People that never thought they could edit videos are editing on TikTok, and they're blowing it out of the water. It's amazing out there.
Quick plug to my daughter. She's been practicing and working on some stuff.
Yeah.
Only being 12 years old, I explained to her, I didn't want her to just be on TikTok for nothing. So she's putting together a process so she can do things with our individuals. Yeah. And she's doing, because there's a lot of these TikTok talent challenges that a person in a wheelchair can't do. So I've tasked her with the mindset, okay, you have to figure out what can they do a part of this, how can you guys do this together? Because a lot of our individuals, they want to be on TikTok, they want to do the challenges, they just might not have the person who's dedicated and mentally willing to do it. Because I know damn well, you're not going to catch me doing all of that wiggly waggly stuff.
Yes, I have caught you doing that.
Okay, well, I do it,
and
but
I have it on camera. So.
I think I just did something right now, just out of the feel of it.
But anyway. But yeah, what you're saying is super true. I mean, even Instagram and TikTok, you can put the video in there, and it'll auto-edit it sometimes. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, anybody can do it. But it's important to speak about these issues, because that's what we found, and we try not to beat around the bush. We were talking about this on the drive up here too. It's we're not doing anybody any service by skirting the issues that are hard to talk about. Right. You're gonna say things wrong, you're gonna use the wrong terminology sometimes or whatever, and it's okay. Yeah. We've had people on our podcast plenty of times with disabilities, and they're like, hey, this is you should say it this way, or what you're saying isn't the way that I really view this. And it's we would have never known that if we wouldn't have had a hard conversation. I think that's so important nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think another thing that's kind of interesting is for me growing up, being exposed to the DD field from a really, really young age, I was surprised how intimidated I was when I first started working in the field. Yeah. And it was something that I was honestly shocked about myself. I was really? Why the heck am I why the heck do I feel awkward working around people with disabilities? It was only when I started trying to drop some of those I don't want to say professional guards, but I was hey, let's just be friends. Let's just try and do life together. As cliche as that might sound, it's that's what it takes sometimes to remove those barriers, some of that awkwardness, and it can be done. And let me tell you, it is so worth it, because if you are if you are not investing in the lives of people with disabilities, you're totally missing out on some of the coolest people that I've ever met, man. Like,
amen.
Well, that's funny because we're Tony's oldest son. We're always messing with him so much because he wants to be this like professional like businessman. He's so yeah. I make fun of him all the time. Business. But he came. We were at it was some in Lucas County.
Provider luncheon.
Provider luncheon. And his son shows up and we're there and like everybody that's there has been on our podcast. So we're like joking around and like just messing with each other. And he's like, after it's over, he's like, nobody was acting very professional. I was like, dude, we're people. We all know each other. Not everybody sits around all day and is like, oh, business. Yeah. Like, no, that's boring. I don't want to do that. We're here to have a good time, you know? So
eat and get awards and stuff.
Yeah. I can relate to what you say. It's very true. So, you got to get back in and get filming. John's gonna see this. He's gonna fire you for just for screwing around. No,
John, we could do so much better. No,
but no, thanks for sharing your info. And we're excited to see what you put out from this event because we're both here filming all day, and we're going to have completely different stuff, and it's going to be cool. So what are you focusing on?
Today I'm doing an event recap. I'm also trying to get some of the thing that Gina was telling me earlier was we want to go for that cutting edge. The bleeding edge of technology, right? We want to see what is the coolest stuff that's here, and also why is that important? A question I'm asking staff and people with disabilities that I'm interviewing. The thing I'm asking them is why does technology give you more independence, right? We're looking at there's the crazy like robot in there that has. He was telling me a little bit about like the precise mechanical movements that it does. It's way more efficient than their Gen 1. It even does a thing where it like knocks food back down into the bowl, right? So, how is that going to give someone more autonomy? Maybe they don't have to have a staff member sitting there feeding them. Maybe that staff member can focus on other things, which is super cool. It's like, where is that? Where is that going to go? Where's the Android butler? Is my question. Like, when does he show up? At what point are we going to have that guy?
I'd name it Alfred.
Yes.
If they had one of those here, it might sneak home in the trunk because I hate cleaning my house just as much as the next guy. I'd be like, I don't know what happened to it, man. But thanks. I'll let you get back to doing your thing because we both got a lot of work to do today. So thanks for chatting with us. And
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Together later.
Sounds good.